Hey there, my name is B and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. I know it's been 5 months since my last video, and what I will share with you is my wellness life book. If you're not familiar with Hobonichi, this is one of the sizes that they offer. They have another one in A6 size, and then they also have the bigger one, they call it cousin, which is A5, and that's twice of the A6 size for reference. And for the weeks itself, it comes in 2 variants. You've got the regular one, and this is a mega. The difference between the two, you got more notes pages at the back, and it's also numbered. This color is called Sunny Blue, and the clear cover is in collaboration with an artist. So you've seen earlier, so it's done by the same person, and it is by the artist. Her name is Yuka Higari, and this is called Season of Hope. Now inside, I didn't really do anything extra with it. I just leave it as it is. And then I've got the custom sticks. It's just to put as like tabs so I can quickly flip through, apart from the available string that is being offered. There is actually 2 of them. And then for the other pocket, this is just a sticker. It's a custom one for my husband. And then on the other side, this is from Kokuyo Jibun Techo, and this just go 2 together so that I don't lose them. But I only use the green stencil, and primarily for the walk. And before I flip through everything else, let me quickly share the tools that I use with it. So when I'm out and about, it's just this Techo and fountain pen. So I'm primarily a fountain pen user, and this is a pen sleeve. Harris Tweed is the design, and it is made by Rickshaw. And then the fountain pen I'm using currently, this is from Sailor. This is the Pro Gear Slim size, and it has a 21 karat nib. The nib size is medium fine, and the color that I use on this one is the partnered ink that they released after, called Hara Hara. And these 2 are already enough for me, but if I have like my pouch, like all of these comes together. So you've got that. I still use a ballpoint, and this one is in collaboration between Caran d'Ache and Nespresso. So this is their 849 ballpoint, so the color is just black. Then you've got the Kuretake Zig color dot. So I just use this end portion, since this is 2-way. The other end just looks like that. And then another one which is 2-way. This is a Tombow brush pen. The color number is 620, still a shade of purple. And I use the brush tip part. The other side is just a regular felt tip pen. And then you've got Kokuyo Mark Plus. This is a 2-tone color marker. And if you've been following me for a while, whether here on YouTube or on Instagram, you know my colors are gray and purple. So you've got best of those 2, so I got it. And then I use just 1 rubber stamp in here. I cycle, so That's what you have here. This is from Plain. This is from Taiwan. And I use the Versamagic chalk ink because it doesn't bleed through inside the Weeks paper. And then I did switch it with one, but then I just came back to it. And last but not the least, you've got the Petite Deco Rush from Plus. So I call this it's like a correction tape, but with design. It's not really meant to correct anything, but it is like, it's clear, and then you just swipe it over as if you're using a correction tape. So going back, let me move this out of the way. So for the first page, nothing really. I just leave it plain and simple. Next, you've got the calendar part. This is where the color dot comes in. And I just use this for tracking my period, just to see like where it is, to compare like from the previous year. There's that. And then the other yearly one, I initially used this to keep track of my weight because I was in a program for the first 3 months of the year. And then I left July, like it's already middle month of July. I just left it blank because this area has already served its purpose. I want to use this for something else. I haven't decided yet. So you've got that. And then now we're moving to what is familiar for those who follow me on Instagram. This is the monthly section. And the weeks starts December. And because I got this early on, I want to practice like what am I going to put in the monthly area that would really help me motivate and be consistent as well, and to give inspiration, I guess. I mean, I hope I do. So before I did all of this, I actually started trialing it using the March 2023 area. So with Hobonichi, they usually put extra months to it. So I will only use this until like December. And then you've got the January, the February, as well as for March as extras. It will serve as like a practice on what am I gonna use it for, or if I'm just gonna continue or whatever. And then what I did for November was trying to see if this would work, as I got inspired from April. From her handle is called Penguins Creative. She shared here on YouTube her use of the weeks, and then this is what I have. And in this section, the rest of the tools that I've shared earlier are mainly used in the monthly part. And since everything was working fine, I just went ahead with it from December until July. So what you see here is this purple, and then this gray one is coming from this, and then the one with colors are from these two, and then obviously the stamp coming from this one. And then the ballpoint comes in when I write in this area, and then in this side as well, and then that part. So no fountain pen in this section. It's just the ballpoint and the stencil for when I do walks, and I use this one. So everything's usually just used on the monthly. And as I mentioned earlier, I will either do this later in the day or whenever. But primarily I just use fountain pen, and I'm all sorted. Sometimes I will put washi tape just for the heck of it. And if I actually fold, if I close my Lifebook, you will see that if I do like that, this is thicker compared to the other side, because that's where I've been putting the washi tape. So I will usually just Google Translate what's on here, and then once I'm finished, if it's not relevant or it doesn't really make any sense or anything, I just put washi over, or sometimes I will even like put all the way through, just so I could use my washi tapes. And going back, for the monthly portion, I've got the key here. So there's water, sleep, and then walk more than 5K. And the water one, each of that line, that corresponds to 1 liter of water. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4.5. And I can quickly remind myself like, oh, you haven't drink water or anything. So you keep yourself hydrated for the whole day. And then this portion right here is sleep. And each of the boxes, it's a total of 6. One box is equal to 1 hour. So you've got 6 here. I guess 6 hours is already sufficient for me. And I try to monitor my sleeping pattern because I work in 2 different time zones. So there's a pattern that I noticed for using it for half a year, that during either Tuesday or Wednesday, this is the part where I usually lack sleep, 3 hours, 4 hours, and that affects my productivity for the day. So I'm trying to be mindful, like I try to sleep as much as I can, but not too long, because I can do long sleep as well. And it's nice to see it visually. I'm a visual person, so in order to motivate myself, especially if I'm too lazy, this right here really helps a lot. And then obviously you'll see the stamping one. Whenever I cycle, I just put a stamp on it. And then the petite decoration ones are used whenever I do any of my workouts. So the pink one is every time I do any run, I use this. Everything else, I use this one. And the reason behind that is because running isn't my favorite thing to do. You can actually notice down below it does say milestone December 9. I did 400-meter run without stopping, and I cannot believe it because I don't do running. Like I can walk longer walks, but running is a struggle for me. So I decided that, if I want to get into the habit of running, I gotta do something to make myself accountable. This is how I do it. So you will quickly see that, like this is December, and then we move to January, and then this is February. That's how it looks like. You've got March. This is the one that I tried a different color, but then when April came, I got a new stamp ink, so I just tried it. It did not bleed through, but then after when May came, I just returned back to this one because it's also portable if I want to bring everything. And then for June, this is how it looks like. So you notice that for the first 6 months, I'm becoming more consistent. Like if I, without really thinking, because I know what the purple line means, like I can see that, well, except for some of the days, that I'm consistent in hydrating myself, because that was a problem for me before. Like I could drink like iced lemon tea, coffee, obviously, and other drinks, but when you talk about plain water like H2O, it was a bit of a struggle because you've got a lot of distraction of other drinks, like just coffee, for example. So it is progress, and that's the progress that I like to see, that if you do this in an app, because I used to use an app before, I used the Lose It. I still have that as a backup in the event I don't have the Techo with me. And then once I'm at home, and then I can just go plot and do whatever. But for the most part, this is always with me. And then you can really do this using a digital app to see immediately your progress, like how December compared with January, February, and so on and so forth. So that's the beauty of using paper Techo or Lifebook. And for July, this is how it looks like. So now when I started, there was a lot of water going on because I even set like alarms for it. But then there are certain days where, like for example this one, like 1.5 liters in a day. It's not really sufficient. But then if you keep like doing it and reminding yourself, like we're now in the month of July, like in the span of 18 days, there's only 1, 2 where I didn't go 3 liters and above, because 3 liters is my target. So you've got that. And then in terms of sleeping habits, like I still have that 4-hour thing between Tuesday, Wednesday, but then almost the whole week, it's just like 1 day out of 7. And that is progress for me. And then the third symbol, you've got walking more than 5K steps. Ideally, it's supposed to be 10, but I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. And I put in a goal that is something that I can reach, because you know that feeling where you set some goals that they're so high you end up being frustrated. In order to avoid that, like I made a commitment, you know what, instead of 10K, maybe I can do that next year, let's just do 5. And so far we're doing great with the 5K steps. And if I'm not working out, usually that's what I do. So there's still walking. Some areas there's none, which is fine. And as long as I'm moving, that's already enough for me. Because, you know, sitting like 6 to 8 hours during your work time, you really need to move around. And I hope this gives an inspiration for anybody who wants to start, whether if it's keeping track of their overall health, or you're trying to do like a workout that you've been like falling on and off. That would also help as well. And this monthly section serves as my accountability portion in just showing up. So I hope that makes sense. Next, you've got the weekly section. So you've got this. So it started like November 29th, and then what I have here, same thing that I did on the monthly part, like before I started this one, I also trialed this, and that one is located here. So I used the notes page to test out the weekly portion for November. So before kicking it off on December, like you have here, like I started off with this one. And what you see in this page, I'll just use this one, is on the left side is everything I eat, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snack. And then on the right side, this is body, the first thin column, and then the other one is for emotion. When I say body, whatever my body feels, if let's say I'm cycling and my legs feels exhausted, like I'm gonna put that in here. Anything that any pain, headache, whatever, that goes in that body section. And then the emotion is not necessarily tied to what I feel with my body. It's just any emotion on that day, any feeling or type of emotion that I want to recall, whether I'm pissed off, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, anything, I just write it on here. And then because I have a lot of food stickers, I just stick whatever. It's the same thing that I do when I started using it as well. It's just a visual representation, so I just use what I have before I just go out and buy hoard stuff. That's what you see on the weekly section. And as I mentioned earlier, like the bottom portion, just for the washi, because I've got washi, this one's Akita tape, so I just use that all throughout. Hence it's a little bit thicker on the bottom portion. That's just a heads up for you if you're planning to do that. And then, oh, I forgot about the pencil board. For the pencil board, this is the Inuyasha one, and I just peel off like a strip of paper. This one is from the Idea notebook. And how I use the pencil board to maintain, like as if it's just from the first day I bought it. So for example, this is the month that I'm currently in. The pencil board is always going to be here. So either here or this side, like that. And then I can write. And then if I use it on the left side, I don't know if you can see that, like I can immediately see the grid like coming from the other side of it. So that serves like as a guideline for this portion right here. So it's like when I write, it's all straight, like I try to be, you know. And then once I'm finished writing, because I'm using a fountain pen, like if you try to flip it over, do the next one or whatever, or if you're not even using it just to close it, sometimes, because I've seen it from other videos who use fountain pen, like some of the marks on either here or transfers here, and then marks from, if let's say the ink hasn't dried yet, that may have transferred here. And that's where this paper comes in. So for example, I've already written in this area, and then I've also written in this part as well. I don't have to wait for the ink to dry. This gets placed like that and then closed. So any markings that it will produce coming from this side will transfer over in this side, and then anything on this part goes into this side, like you see, like that. So I don't have to worry about whether I'm using a wet ink, dry ink, whatever. I just have this in place, then I don't have to worry about ink transferring from one page over the other, because you've got this paper right here. So that's all for the weekly part. So it's pretty much the same thing until the end of the year. And then we now move on to the notes section. So this is the last page for December. And then you've got the notes section. I'll also mention if the weekly ones, the weekly part, it doesn't have the page marker. The pages are only in the notes pages, like here at the very bottom. And here, I just use this as an index, and then like a table of contents, like which page goes where. And then I just leave off another page because like this thing right here isn't really sufficient. And what I've done in this one is, whether I'm testing something, like for example this part, it goes here, and then the next page, sometimes I will just use this with whatever I'm feeling that day or that moment. And then the next one is like I did a November reflection, like what I felt doing this, and then I went with it. And then the next one, like I just did like the art of giving, like the thoughts that I have. And then the next is travel. So when I travel in Penang, like quick summary of it. And then the next is, because I mentioned from the start, like in this part, like I was tracking my weight because I was in a program and it came with like the supplement facts. So I just stick it on here. And then like just to see like what are the vitamins and minerals it comes with it, and what's gonna be like applicable that I'll use afterwards or anything like that. Same thing that I did here. And then the next one is for groceries when I did that program. So how much I spent on it, like on a weekly, and then I was tracking it like every month, what's the progress, and then what are my thoughts on it. So it's just on here. And then next would be like the weigh-in, like the breakdown of the fat percentage, muscle, BMI, and all that stuff, just to see like how it is in terms of progress. So if I'm not looking in here, I can just quickly look at the start of it just to see what it is. Like there was one point where I actually just like keep track of this like almost daily. And just a caution, if ever you're gonna do this, if you're somebody who gets stressed out, like, oh my goodness, today I weighed this weight and then I gained 2 kilos after, like if that's really worrying you, do not do this. It doesn't really bother me. I'm all for the data portion of it, so I'm okay doing that. But since it has service purpose, I'm not gonna do it in this side. So just a fair warning. And then after the weigh-in, and the last portion that I had was like for Pilates. So I started taking classes here. It looks so easy, like people would say, oh, this is great, blah blah blah, but it's really tough because I am having a hard time using all of the muscle all over my body, I guess. And the rest of the pages are actually blank. I don't think, it's already July, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish all of it. And if I don't, for next year, usually what I tend to do for notebooks that I don't finish all, I use it as a commonplace. And then the last portion of it I'm actually not using, which is the My 100. This one, I used this before in my A6 English planner, like I was writing like the anime shows that I've watched. But in this case, because this is my wellness life book, and maybe if an idea comes in, I'll probably use it. If not, I'm not worried if I'm not gonna use this part. And then the remaining pages will just tell you some information. Because this is in Japanese, I just use Google Translate on my phone to automatically translate them. Although this part, because it has visuals, I use them. So initially, I was like, okay, what does this thing mean? But because there is a visual representation of what's written, like when you wake up, these are the things like the stretching that you can do. Same goes on the other side. And then I don't really fill up any other information in this one. Same goes to this part. It's just like it's a nice reference to see, but not really using it. And then even on the last portion where you usually put in your information, I just leave it blank. And then yeah, you got the serial number, and then that's it. That's how I've been using the Hobonichi Weeks Mega. If you have any questions or any clarifications, feel free to comment down below. I'll try to answer all of them as much as I can. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.